All right, everybody. Hey, this is Sasha Costa with GRIT Realty, and this is our first show that we're putting together. We call it the Rise and Grind with GRIT Realty. And today I brought one of my closest friends who's also a wealth of knowledge, Tom Perry. Tom, thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show.
All
It's a
right.
shame they can't see the neon sign that says "Rise and Grind."
I know I have to fix this. Like I said, it's the first show,
It's the first show, right?
so we'll fix things as we come up with different ideas,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Maybe you put "Rise and Grind" like right back here.
Or I was thinking about putting the Grit Realty sign back
Oh
there,
yeah,
but
yeah,
maybe Grise, yeah, maybe both. I don't know.
yeah.
Have to figure out what to do.
Hmm.
But again, this is us going at it as the first show, and we're just going to have some fun today. So I asked Tom to come by and talk to us and just share our story of how we know each other and then some of the things that he has done in the past. Just so you guys know, as an intro, Tom, I think he stopped counting when he started flipping over 100 houses a year, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
he did that for multiple years, started multiple businesses. So Tom is deep, deep, deep in real estate. And I thought, since that's what we do here at Grit Realty, why not bring somebody that I'm really close to and just talk about the market, talk about real estate, and a ton of other things. So I hope you guys enjoy it as we go forward with this. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask the questions. What I'll do is I have Tom open up Facebook
Oh, you want me to do
on your
that?
phone, and then if you see any questions, we can pop it open. How's that?
Sure.
Actually, later we can set it up where the questions come up on the screen. So that's
I was gonna try and keep my phone off.
yeah. You can turn it off. That's fine. So we'll answer questions later. Then
Okay.
we'll just have a conversation. We can do that.
All right. Let me at least pull up Facebook and
Yeah.
I think there we go.
So
All right.
while Tom's doing that, I'm just going to start the intro as I met Tom probably, wow, it's been over 20 years now. Yeah. We're
Time flies. Just
time
like
flies. And we were taking a class at Sandler Sales Institute.
that. Right.
So our good friends Troy and Brad,
Right.
and I'll talk about Brad and Troy later. Great guys, and they taught us a lot. But so we're learning how to be better at sales and learn how to, you know, craft our business a little more. And that's where we met and became good friends. And I think at the time you were doing insurance, and before that,
Yeah, I was in the health insurance business. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And before that, you're doing photography, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. A lot before, right?
yeah, a lot before. And then you got into the insurance business, and I think some laws changed, and overnight you're like, I'm done with this.
Yeah, March of 2010, the Affordable Care Act passed, and I got two emails within the first 30 days of that passing that said, effective immediately, we're no longer accepting new applications for health insurance. I was effectively out of business.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many other businesses you think were affected like you?
Cool.
A lot.
Yeah. It's crazy. There's obviously a risk whenever you start any kind of business. And, what you have to recognize is there's risk of the business, you're not executing because of competition or things like that, or there's risk because of technology changes. There's
Right.
risk, but one of those that you don't count on very often is the risk of legislative change,
Right.
and that was a big, massive issue. And that when the Affordable Care Act passed in March of 2010,
Yeah.
and it was kind of a surprise, number one, that it passed.
True.
And then number two, once it did, I don't think anybody had any idea how much of an impact it was going to have right away. So that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Life moved forward,
right.
and you kept going. And
Yeah.
what did you do right after that? Did you get into the real estate business right after that?
Yeah, so what happened is a guy I go to church with, he basically had said, hey man, how are things going for you? And I said, I'm kind of in a state of transition.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm going to do next. And he said, how about, we go to breakfast or lunch sometime this week? And I said, how about we go to breakfast tomorrow? And he said, I've got a business proposition for you. And
Yeah.
basically he had a handyman business, and he wanted to,
Yeah.
his pitch was he wanted to partner with me.
Yeah.
And I run the business and he run the jobs. And so we met about that. Long story short, we put that together for a very short period of time. And
Right.
then some things happened that ended our partnership.
Yeah.
No need to go into all that. But
That wasn't fast track.
no, that was not. No. So then, October of 2010, I started Fast Track as a vendor for a group in town called Lifestyles Unlimited.
Right.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, after you start fast track, you also started another business after that, and we'll get into that in a minute, which was the Houston house buyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you had a partner, Jason.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I actually met Jason at the same place where you were a vendor at, which was we went on a bus tour for lifestyles to learn how to buy investment single family homes.
Yeah, for buy and hold.
For buy and hold.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what they taught, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that's how Jason and I became friends, and we did some of that.
Yeah, and so Jason and I, we met through the same group, Lifestyles, and
Yeah.
he was actually working full time as like a W-2 employee, and
Right.
started buying rental properties, as a better investment than like a 401k or something like that.
Right.
And then we kind of hit it off, and we ended up in a relatively small mastermind. There were 6 of us,
Right.
and some great people. And he and I kind of started talking through that mastermind, like what would it be like to build a flipping business that would compete with the big We Buy Ugly Houses folks. So,
right.
Yeah. And so we started talking about that, and really out of that mastermind, we decided, kind of started on pencil and paper, and
on a napkin.
Yeah, really kind of dreaming about like what it would be, and so we started July 4th of 2013. Okay. So this past July 4th was 13 years of starting Houston House Buyers.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you running Houston House Buyers the same time that you were running Fast Track?
Yeah, so when I started Houston House Buyers, Jason quit his W-2 job, and I put in money to start the business. He put in money to start the business. We were equal on that, and then he quit his job, and I was running Fast Track full time.
Right.
It had started in October 2010, and so this was July of 2013, and so I owned 100% of Fast Track, but 50% of Houston House Buyers, and the idea was we'd use Fast Track, for Houston House Buyers.
Right.
But Houston House Buyers was just another customer for Fast Track, just like any other customer would be. We did the same pricing and all that because we were already an investor-friendly remodeling company.
You were, and I've used Fast Track to do quite a few of my flips.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And then
which you should use your friends to do business with.
Yeah. But one of the things that that I figured out when we got into 2014, and we ended up doing 67 flips in 2014. We did 7 in 2013. We did 67 in 2014, and it was about halfway through 2014. I was looking at, man, how much time does it take to run Fast Track and the size that it was and things like that, and what were we making in terms of gross profit margins, and then how much time were we spending in Houston House Buyers, and what were the margins there, and then also calculating risk. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of investors are really good at calculating reward on investments, but they're not really good at calculating risk.
Right.
And so with that, I decided that I didn't want to own the construction company anymore. So I ended up divesting myself from the construction company and just focusing on. Right. My idea was like time. So if I took the time that I was spending running Fast Track and focused on, just growing Houston House Buyers, how much
faster could you grow it?
Yeah.
So you said something that was really interesting. You said 1 year you did 7 houses.
Yeah. Well, then keep in mind that we started in July, and so we started with marketing, and July we sent out marketing, didn't get any deals. August we sent out marketing, didn't get any deals. September we sent out marketing, didn't get any deals. And then October was we got 3 deals in the month of October of 2013. And then we got 2 more in November and 2 more in December.
So lesson learned is that marketing is always 90 to 120 days after.
Yeah, it's more like farming. I think a lot of people start marketing
and they expect something quick.
It's almost like going, deer hunting or duck hunting. You go out to bag the game, and you come home with, with the game over your shoulder or whatever. Right?
Marketing is not like that. You don't shoot something and bring it home. You grow it.
Yeah, and marketing is so many analogies to actual farming. That you gotta water it, you gotta fertilize it, you gotta have fertile soil. So
I like that.
Yeah, you gotta farm your market, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what a lot of people do, it's interesting with marketing, is they try and start small. And it's almost like planting 2 or 3 seeds and going, is it working yet? Is it working yet? And it's like, if you planted 3 seeds and waited to see if it's working, you're not going to have a very big harvest in 90 days.
Absolutely.
So if you knew that it was going to work, you would want to plant as much seed as you could afford, right?
I love that. Yeah, exactly. So you went from starting in the middle of the year, start marketing, 7 houses, then 67 houses, and then what's the next year?
Next year was 2015. We did 90 houses.
90 houses.
Yeah, then we did 120.
Okay.
2016. Yeah.
So you start harvesting what you were farming.
What would happen is like after those first 7 houses,
Mm-hmm.
we took the money that we made from those and put it right back into marketing. So when we first started, I put up money in the company, and so did he. And then our budget was $5,000 a month in marketing, and we were doing strictly postcards back then.
Okay.
And
but you grew that budget.
Correct. The first quarter of 2014, we went to 10,000 a month in marketing.
Right.
And then we grew another 5,000 a month every quarter until we got to about 60,000 a month in marketing.
Okay.
That was our peak.
The peak. Okay.
Yeah. And what we found is that every time we increased our marketing, again, it was a 90-day pipeline before we ever started seeing the results of that increase.
So you basically sold for next quarter.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So talk to me and tell us what happened with that business. So you grew the business, flipping over 100 houses, and jumping ahead, I know that you bought your partner out.
Yeah.
So tell us what happened.
Yeah, 2018, parted amicably with with Jason, my business partner, and we're friends to this day.
Absolutely.
And he basically said, hey, he wanted to go a different route.
Yeah.
And he looked at how much energy was going in, and he really wanted to do more buy and hold.
Right.
And he basically came to me and said, hey, one or two things, we're either going to shut down and divide up the properties that we have and sell them off. Should not divide the properties, but sell off the properties and divide the proceeds. Right. Or he said, hey, if you like the business, buy me out and we'll part friends. And that's what I did.
Right.
So I bought him out. We parted friends.
Okay.
And then went through COVID.
Yeah, life changed a little bit after that.
Yeah, the market is completely different now. So yeah.
Okay. So once you bought him out, tell us the story of what happened then after COVID and where are you now?
Yeah, for the last several years, been kind of keeping a low profile. I mean, used to be on
you used to teach classes,
faces, right?
Yeah.
Used to be on the radio.
We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
You used to have a radio show.
Yeah.
You used to host these huge events.
Yeah, we used to do weekend events. We coached a lot of people how to make money in real estate. Right?
So anytime,
how to wholesale, how to buy and hold, how to buy fix and flip. We've taught all of that.
Yeah. So like you said, I mean, you kind of just brought that down in regards to being out in the public and doing things, but you haven't really slowed down in working and doing business, or maybe you just got more profitable. It was just that you are not in public as much as you used to be. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I have not been.
You haven't been teaching.
Used to go to so many, networking events on a monthly basis and all of that, and of course, a lot of the networking events went away and things like that, and I'm like, just kind of downsized, how much I've been out and about and things like that. So, in fact, this is the first time I've been online in a really, really long time.
I love it that you're doing it with me.
I have a Facebook account, but I don't really post. I haven't posted on Facebook in forever. I really haven't done anything on social media.
Right.
I don't have Instagram. I don't have TikTok. I don't.
That's okay.
Now I will say this: I actually bought the domain name, the stuff that really matters, and the shit that really matters.
The shit that really matters, yeah.
And because I really believe that there's so much stuff that people talk about that really doesn't matter.
Right.
And there's not many people are talking about stuff that really does matter.
Right.
And so I've had these ideas about talking about like how does insurance work, whether it's health insurance or life insurance or business insurance, things like that, homeowners insurance, etc. Most people don't know those basic things. And then talk about how health works, or talk about how banking works, or talk about how lending works.
So we'll do a whole show about how
each one of
stuff
those,
or how shit matters.
Correct.
I like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be glad to help you with that. You got it.
Yeah.
So, so you talked about being in public, teaching a lot of stuff. Now, coming back a little bit into just like doing things on your own.
Yeah.
And where are you right now?
Yeah, I mean, last year I flipped 25 properties.
Yeah.
A lot of what I'm doing right now is I really have a kind of a unique niche.
Yeah.
I work on solving some really difficult title issues. It's kind of ridiculous how big my overhead is and how hard it is to do some of the deals that we're doing. But
and that's why you're so profitable, though, because very few people can do it.
Yeah, we've done pretty well. I can't complain. But we oftentimes are buying deals that I don't know that anybody else would have the skill set to do. But I mean, I have extremely skilled in-house people that I'm not contracting out or anything. I've built a really, really great team.
Right.
They say a lot in life is it's not what you know, it's who you know, but it is oftentimes what you know as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like that a lot of success in life is building a team. And I've heard it said before, I'm sure you have as well, that
Yeah.
if you want to go fast, go by yourself.
Yep.
If you want to go far, build a team and take your team with you.
Exactly.
And so I've got a really great team.
Good. Good. I like that.
Yeah.
And so in regards with that, tell us more about your vision of where you want to go and where you're going right now.
Yeah, I mean, I really have three focuses right now.
Yeah.
One of those is, I've got Quality Property Solutions, which is our difficult title issue company.
Yeah.
I also still have Houston House Buyers. I kind of lump those into one.
Yeah.
And then second, I started with another business partner, a different guy, an amazing guy. His name's Nick. And I own an AI employee business. It's called Get Leverage.
Yeah, it's amazing what you're doing with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's in this time of AI, I mean, I remember, myself when I was running Fast Track, and at one time we were running 13 or 14 different crews, and we had project managers, and it was just it's just a massive moving, lots of logistics, lots of phone calls, lots of communications, things like that. I think about how many guys that I know that are in the air conditioning business or the plumbing business or any kind of relatively small business,
Right.
from designers to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And how many times they're so busy working that they need to stay focused, but their phone is always like right here, and they've got to answer their phone as soon as it rings and things like that. And oftentimes, when you're a plumber and you're
Under
doing
sink.
the plumbing
Yeah,
work, you're
yeah.
under the sink. Do you stop and answer the phone and all of that? And so this. Instead of sending it to an answer machine or voicemail or something like that and missing the call. And so oftentimes, because let's face it, when people are looking you up on Google or something like that, then they're making a phone call. If you don't answer, many times they go to the next dial. And
Almost
this,
100% of the time.
absolutely. So this can actually answer your phone, and it's not a dumb answer. It's really a very, very intelligent,
Mhm.
Answering system that
Right.
can answer probably 99% of all the questions that you would be spending your time answering.
Mhm.
And so yeah, if you want to check it out, it's getleverage.app. So
Okay.
getleverage.app, and I can give a free demo and things like that. So
Yeah.
I spend
Yeah,
pretty
I
fair
love
amount of
this.
time in that.
So if you're watching this,
Mhm.
and if this makes sense for you,
Yeah.
what's that URL again?
Yeah, get leverage. So GETLEVERAGE.app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's not .com, it's just .app. So yeah, getleverage.app.
Yeah. And mention that you saw this at the online event that we had together. That'd be
Yeah.
great to see how many people actually call you.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And I find it's really great. Like, our very first client that we ever signed up on that is the lady that cuts my hair. And she said, Tom, I am so sick and tired of trying to train like 20-something-year-olds that never talk on the phone. They don't even really have good phone skills. They're texting all the time.
Right.
And so just to get them to answer the phone properly, to like schedule an appointment or things like that, and now AI is handling that for them and sending like a scheduling link and answering all the questions about how much does hair color cost and how much does a haircut cost for a woman or a man or et cetera. I mean, it can answer like so much stuff, which is completely different than like what a plumber is going to be answering.
Right.
And so AI is trained on your business, not.
And there's a voice that sounds very human.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I'm sure we've all gotten those phone calls, that you can tell the moment it says hello that it's like it's quote unquote AI, but it sounds so clunky.
Yeah.
And this is not like that at all. This sounds like you've done the demo.
Yeah. Sounds just like somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. So
like I was talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. So cool. Very cool business. I have a feeling that you're going to grow that into something very big and good as well.
Yeah, I think we can help a lot of small businesses with that.
I do too.
And then the third thing, I really have this vision for, with the way the market's going, and I do believe that we're going into a K-curve economy, and or I should say K-shaped, and I believe that we're going to have an affordability housing issue. And
agreed.
And so right now, even if you look at what's the least expensive, like studio apartment in a safe neighborhood, things like that, and that I've studied co-living situations.
Yeah, you and I have talked extensively about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I really like the idea of a co-living house being built from the ground up. So right now I'm in the process of raising capital to build, somewhere between 30 and 100 co-living houses from the ground up, and I love the numbers on that. So yeah.
Cool. Tell us a little bit more about co-living. What is it?
Yeah, it's basically it's not for homeless people or anything like that. It's not for indigent. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like like sober living or anything like that.
Right.
But it's also not Airbnb in the sense that it's not a hospitality play.
Right.
I know there's been so many gurus that have taught like, Airbnb as a real estate
Mm-hmm.
play to get better rents and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like that where a lot of that has been
Mm-hmm.
trained on is that I think a lot of people have gotten into that thinking it's a real estate play when, in my opinion, it's really a hospitality play.
Right.
And this is not that because you're not providing, although you are providing a furnished room. What I want to build is a furnished room with a private closet and a private bathroom.
Right.
And then you're essentially sharing a house with other people. And the house I want to build it's 2,700 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3 stories. It's 10 bedrooms and 10 bathrooms.
Yep.
But it's classified as a single family house.
There you go.
And you'd have 10 single people living in the house.
Mm-hmm.
No pets, no kids.
Yep.
And so picture, someone that's working Uber Eats or DoorDash, or maybe as a manager of McDonald's or something like that,
Right.
and they want a good, clean, safe, comfortable place to live.
Yeah.
And it's all bills paid.
Yeah.
And can run $225, $230 a week.
Yeah.
And
love it.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic choice for. I mean, so you're talking about
affordable, safe living.
Absolutely, clean, brand new.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fantastic, furnished.
Yeah.
So furnished, affordable, all bills paid. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay, sounds like a great play. So we talked about some of the things that you have done in the past, what you're doing now, what you're going to do in the future, and I'm curious for the folks that are watching right now, and I think you'd be great at answering this. If I'm starting from scratch, right, and I said this year I want to make 6 figures in real estate.
Yeah.
How would you start from scratch? What would you do?
Well, now so you put some caveats on there. So if you just wanted to make an income, so are you wanting to do that passively, or are you wanting to do that actively? Because there's a difference in real estate, and I think this is
right.
Like if you're starting a business like Houston House Buyers, then you can make $100,000 a year flipping houses. But think of it, it's a business, but it becomes almost like a job. Right. Now you're working for yourself, so hopefully you like your employer.
Yeah, hope you like yourself. Yeah.
And hopefully your employer likes your employee.
Exactly.
Since you're working for yourself.
Yeah. So most people, they want to have income, right? They want to be able to say, okay, I can live on a affordable
so that's the thing, because I wanted to point out that a good rule of thumb is you're going to make about 10% flipping a house.
Right.
And so what I could say is like, hey, if you flipped, let's say a $350,000 house, you should make $35,000 on that if you ran your numbers correctly. So you flip 3 of those a year, you're making $105,000 a year.
There you go.
And so the skill set that you probably need there is, 1, you need to know how to market to get those houses. Number 2, you need to have sales experience in order to talk to the seller, be able to get them to sell at the price that you want to buy at. Number 3, you've got to be able to estimate rehabs properly and be able to manage crews, or have a good contractor that's an investor-friendly contractor,
right.
A plumber, electrician, all of those kind of things. You have to be able to know how to accurately estimate ARV, those kinds. So there's a lot of skills to know in all of those things, right? And then you have to be able to sell the property at the retail price when you're ready to go. But if I had it to do over again, I really would have focused more on buy and hold, because not only does that produce passive income, but it also is really one of the best wealth building tools. Yeah. And I feel like that why real estate is so good is because of appreciation.
Right.
And I believe that in the Houston market, which is what I'm probably most familiar with, and know Dallas a little bit as well, and so I'll say Texas in general, not California, not New Jersey, things like that.
Right.
But because properties can, single family buy and hold can operate, making money 5 different ways, and one of those is cash flow, and I feel like that's one of the least important of all of them. What's really important right now is that if you buy single family rentals on leverage, like if you put 25% down and you finance the other 75%, you could buy a $200,000 house that rents for $2,000 a month,
right?
And you put $50,000 down, leverage the other $150,000. Well, a $200,000 house, what most people don't realize right now is it's really difficult for a builder to build new construction.
Cost of building
$200,000, because by the time you keep in mind that they've got selling costs, they've got holding costs, they've got profit, they've got construction costs, and they've got land costs, and it's nearly impossible to put all of those things and sell for $200,000. Because right now, except for the big guys like the Lennars of the world and things like that are at such a large scale, but if I was just going to go build a house myself for as an investment for new construction to be a builder, I mean, you're probably looking at $125 a square foot, not counting the cost of land, just building
Right.
a house.
So you wouldn't be able to build that same house.
Yeah, so a 2,000 square foot house would be $250,000 just construction costs.
Yeah.
So you can't sell at that price point. So understand a $200,000 house in Houston right now is below replacement cost.
Yeah.
And so they can't make any more of those.
Yeah.
So how would you like to, be able to have, any, like, if they weren't making any more gold, the price of gold would shoot up, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's obviously been climbing because it's a hedge against inflation, but so are real estate assets. Number one, it's a hedge against inflation, but number two, there's a limited supply as the cost of construction goes up at the lower price points, and those typically are going to have an inflation faster than the rest of the market.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So oftentimes, I know you're a real estate agent, and oftentimes when you get opinions from agents, they're talking about the market in general,
right?
What retail buyers are looking for and things like that, which is something different than what investors are looking for oftentimes.
Exactly.
And so, typical $200,000 house is going to appreciate about 7% per year.
Right.
And if your leverage 4-to-1, if you've got $50,000 in that, so 7% on 200,000 is 14,000.
Yeah.
But if you only got $50,000 on that, 14,000 on
sit on it for a little bit, and all of a sudden,
that's a 28% rate of return on the money that you got in the deal, which is, compared to like Warren Buffett, for example. I mean, he got himself pretty wealthy on 20% average over a long period of time. So if you can beat him without increasing a significant amount of risk, so I think that if I were starting over right now, I would focus on the skill set of raising capital.
Yeah, we talked about that. So we mentioned before that what's the difference between somebody that's wealthy and somebody that's not, and what is the skill set that they need to be wealthy? And you said,
I've had just some epiphanies recently, just thinking about how to help people and things like that, and I really think it's raising capital.
Right.
Obviously the wealthiest person on the planet today, our first trillionaire in the globe, is Elon Musk, and I think he's probably the greatest businessman of any generation. I mean, I think would rival the Rockefeller or the Carnegies or anybody like that, but he is outstanding at raising capital. That's number one. Number two, he's also great at painting a vision.
Right.
You stop and think about the number of teams that he's put together and the vision that he's had, this dream, to build a car company or to build PayPal or to build, just, you forget all the different businesses that he's either started or started and sold, and what he knows about banking and about legislation and about,
and he used PayPal to start Tesla and the rocket company.
SpaceX.
SpaceX.
Yeah. Right. And then to buy X, formerly known as Twitter. Or and then Grok, and then just on and on and on and on. But think about, and I said it earlier, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, bring a whole team. And there's no way he could accomplish what he's been accomplishing without
casting the vision and building a team. Yeah, makes sense.
So he's a great visionary. And that's what an entrepreneur should, or a CEO should do, is cast the vision. And then I even think of like I'm going to say the name, and some people love him, some people hate him. I'm not casting an opinion one way or the other, but like a Grant Cardone, even, for example. I mean, he's a self-made guy, very successful, and he obviously can raise capital.
Absolutely.
And when you think about a Bill Gates or et cetera, we look at the technology that they either discovered, invented, depends on your opinion on some of these things. But all of them again cast a vision and could raise capital.
I love that.
And I think so many times people get started in like wholesaling, for example, because they've got no money, no job, no credit, and they buy into YouTube videos that like, hey, I'm going to wholesale a little bit until I can get a little bit of capital, so then I'll get into flipping and you have it even more capital, so that I can get into buy and hold and build real wealth. And it's like, I think that's a lie of a mistaken mindset.
Yeah. So let's talk more about that. We talked about wholesaling, and what are some of your thoughts besides the fact that it's a lie based on the concept? Tell me more about that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that wholesaling is sold online oftentimes by gurus that, number one, I think have never ever done wholesaling, that they get into the coaching game, because it's easier to make money in coaching.
So people that have coached wholesaling instead of doing wholesaling. Now, there are some people doing wholesaling at a high level, and I don't want to talk down wholesaling, but Give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I believe number one, most wholesalers have never ever put their own,
Money
money
into it.
into a deal. So they've never, it's one thing. Even as an agent,
Mm-hmm.
you know what it is to market a listing as an agent, and you can go on a listing appointment and you
Yeah.
can tell a seller, "Hey, I think I can list your property for 400,000." And if you're wrong, about that number, then let's say it actually sells for 375, and you're off by 25,000.
Right.
I mean, that cost you 3% of 25,000, which is what, $750, something like that.
Right.
It costs the seller 25,000.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you're doing flipping houses as a seller at scale,
Yeah.
you can't afford to be wrong. $25,000 on every single house.
That's
So you have to get really, really good at distinguishing, not just in general, what are the comps in the area, but
Yeah.
what would the comp be? What are the real pluses and minuses about that specific house? Recognizing what makes it either better or worse. When you're thinking about looking through the eyes of the buyer, not the retail buyer who's going to live there as their home, and what you're going to be able to get. And you get really, really good at that. Well, I don't think wholesalers ever think like that. Wholesalers are really, in my opinion, acting more like agents, putting a buyer and seller together without going through the licensing of being an agent.
Yeah.
And one of the things that
and they wanted in Austin to put some constraints on that and actually restrict wholesaling there for a while. I'm not sure where that is right now, but you're right.
Yeah. And so I think what happens is that for a lot of them, they're sold on this idea that, hey, I can make more money doing that. But what they oftentimes end up doing is working on a lower end of the marketplace, because wholesalers have a tendency to work in houses that are going to sell for $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. And in fairness, most agents don't want to list a $60,000 house. I mean, there's no money in that for the agent. It's not worth the effort for $1,800.
Right.
And a wholesaler can make $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 on that, and so that provides some, help in the marketplace. But investors are already doing that without wholesalers.
Right.
And but then for me, I guess an analogy that I came up with one time, just thinking about how this whole process works, is, I think everybody's been to a restaurant before and don't realize that there's a company out there that sells a lot of stuff to restaurants. They're called Cisco Foods.
Right.
And Cisco Foods probably sells something to almost every restaurant, whether it's the food or it's the plates or the napkins or whatever, right? Yeah. And Cisco Foods has so much data and knows restaurants, whether it's an Italian food restaurant or a Mexican food restaurant or a steakhouse or whatever. Cisco Foods knows restaurants inside and out, probably better than any single restaurant, unless you're a Landry's, right? Tillman Fertitta probably knows a lot about restaurants, but Cisco knows a ton too. Yep. And so then they really become a real a value add to the restaurant.
Yeah. And the wholesalers became a value added.
If they actually understood, their customers, like what it is to be a flipper, why a flip investor has to buy at 70% minus repairs, why a buy and hold guy can pay, 85, 90, 95 cents on the dollar, 95% of ARV minus the cost of repairs, and a flipper can, et cetera, et cetera. And that would be helpful. And I have a feeling, my experience has been that most of the time when I'm dealing with a wholesaler, they've got a property under contract at some number, and all they're looking for is somebody else to buy it for, to contract at a higher number than what they've got, and they really don't care about the actual business.
Yeah, and sometimes I hate that feeling, because it's just basically who's the next dummy, who's the next dummy that can buy it from you.
Yeah, who's the greater fool, right? Because if they're foolish in contracting a property that, let's say it needs to be contracted at 75 to be a good flip deal,
right?
And they contracted at 90, and now they're looking for somebody for 95 or
they want
100.
To.
Yeah,
they're stuck.
Well, if they can find that greater fool.
Yeah.
But the problem with the greater fool theory is that's a lot of capital, $100,000, and if you have the skill set or the wisdom or the financial astuteness to
have that capital,
to have $100,000,
you're not going to be.
Then you're not foolish about capital, right? And if you don't have it, then you have to go get that capital from somebody that does have it, and they're going to prevent you from being foolish about that. Yeah. And so, whether you go to, whatever hard money lender or private money lender or something like that, they're going to prevent you from being foolish with that money. So there is a built-in mechanism,
I like that,
to keep the foolish money out of the game.
Yeah. So with that said, there's a lot of gurus out there, right? And we talked about a lot of people that just put the mask on of being a guru.
Yeah.
And I know you have some problems with that because you used to teach a lot of classes.
I did, right. In
And
fact, I've in face to face, I've called out some gurus. I mean,
yeah.
I remember.
And I hate being called a guru. I don't like being called a guru.
Yeah. I've found quite a few people that that had flipped some houses, didn't make any money doing the flip.
Yeah.
And then they got into coaching flipping.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, wow, that's like, why? How are you selling coaching on flipping when you've never made money flipping?
Yeah.
And their justification was like, hey, I couldn't live the lifestyle that I'm living if I wasn't doing the coaching. And I was like, oh, well, okay, well, there's that, I guess. Yeah. So
yeah, we're not going to point fingers at anybody, but yeah, be careful at who is teaching you for sure. Cool.
Yeah, in fact, we were talking before we started the podcast that I don't think that I've ever seen anybody teach. How do you vet a guru? Like somebody says that they that they've been wholesaling or they've been flipping or they've been doing X, Y, or Z, and they want to be your coach.
Yeah.
In real estate, the only thing that I can come up with is to either now with flipping it should be pretty easy.
Yeah. How many houses have you flipped?
Well, you could say that.
Or how much money have you made?
Okay, so let's say that I can tell you, I've made $100,000 this year in flipping.
Right.
How can you vet that? How can you really like you're gonna ask for my W-2? I mean, I could print something out, right? I mean, and the only thing that I've really been able to come up with is you ask in the case of flipping, what's the entity name that you do deals in? So, for example, if you looked at my company, Houston House Buyers, you can go to the Harris County Clerk's office
public information,
and see how many times have I been the grantor or grantee. Now, that doesn't work for wholesalers.
Right.
Because they're never the grantor or the grantee. They're always doing an assignment.
Right.
So then how do you vet a wholesaler? And the only thing that I've come up with there, and I've gotten phone calls before from people that are just starting out in wholesaling, and I'm like, I ask them, who's your guru and things like that. And I've told people, hey, this is how you vet them. Is I ask them, hey, ask them who their title company is.
Oh, yeah.
And, let's say it's, Stewart Title.
Right.
Well, there's so many offices of Stewart Title, like you're not going to be able to vet that. But they're not going to use every single, if you're really wholesaling a lot, you're going to get known by a particular escrow officer at a particular office.
Yeah.
So then they find out, like ask them, hey, which specific office?
Yeah. And
who's your escrow officer? And then call up that escrow officer, just Google that office and say, hey, have you ever heard of this company? Do they actually do deals? And I would suspect that, I won't say 100% because nothing's 100%, but 95% of the people that are out there teaching wholesaling, if you ask them that question, it's going to get real uncomfortable on the conversation.
If it's negative.
They're going to give you, why do you want to know that? Nobody's ever asked me that before.
Of course.
Yeah, of course not. Right?
So this is a great takeaway right here. Yeah.
If they get defensive in any way, shape, form, or fashion, then there's probably a problem there.
Good, good. Mm-hmm. Cool. Tom,
if they're on the up and up, why wouldn't they just say, "Oh yeah, I use the the memorial office of."
They love me over there. Go ahead and call them.
Yeah, please. Yeah, and I won't even give you the phone number. Look it up yourself, and then call them, and then but then actually make the call. Yeah.
Cool. So Tom, we talked about a lot of things today, and we kept it fun, and I like the energy. What are some takeaways? What are some of the things that you want to tell or say to the folks that are watching us right now? If as we're wrapping up, what is some of the things that we can end this with?
Yeah, I would say this: if you were starting out brand new right now, just to reiterate that, learn the skill set of raising capital. Mm-hmm. Start understanding the language of finance and understand that, there is a lot of money out there, and there are a lot of deals out there. But the people that have the deals and the people that have the money aren't talking to one another enough. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, treat your investors' money like it's your own money from the standpoint of like protect it. Yeah. And because that's the big thing is that you've got to make sure that every single lender because oftentimes they're putting their whole life savings into deals, right? Or some portion of their retirement into deals. And so with that in mind, I mean, you've got to make sure that the deal is something that you would put your own money into.
Makes sense.
And keep their money safe and secure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for coming today.
Yeah.
I hope that as you're watching this, that you watch the entire thing and that if you have some takeaways, and leave messages here. And Tom, you just can go on Facebook, the account that you haven't looked at
Yeah,
for
yeah.
whatever,
Right.
and we can answer that. Or if anybody wants to get a hold of you, Tom, what would be the best way for them to do that? Is it an email or is it a?
Yeah, probably email would be best. Yeah, just email me, tom@qualitypropertysolutions.com.
Okay,
That's probably the email that I look at the most frequently.
cool.
Tom@qualitypropertysolutions.com. There's a S at the beginning of the word solution and an S at the end of the word solution.
Solutions,
So
got it.
solutions. Yeah, unfortunately, all the really long domain names were already taken, so I had to settle for that. So
Yeah.
it's tom@qualitypropertysolutions.com.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. So with that said, folks, we're going ahead and end here right now. And if you have any questions, just hit me up. I'm Sasha at GRITRealty.com, or you can call 833-GET-GRIT, and we can talk about what's going on in the market. And then also, I'm looking for other individuals that want to talk about what's going on in business, community, and any local events. And we also are going to start doing local events every month. So we'll be having events in different locations, some in Pearland, some in Houston.
Yeah.
And we'll just have some fun.
Sounds great.
All right, folks. Thank you so much. And